So we're getting ready for the next session now. A wonderful theme called Winning Together. And you're going to have some fabulous women discussing this topic today. As they're just setting up the stage, let me tell you, Ms. Aparna Popat and Ms. Saranya Modi are going to be here. I'm sure many of you in the audience would have heard of Aparna Popat, and there's very few women have known about her, maybe the younger generation. Yeah, may I now invite Ms. Aparna Popat and Ms. Saranya Modi to take their place on the dais, please. Please, though. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. May I have the AV of the distinguished speakers, please.
Ms. Aparna Popat, former India badminton champion, clinched the national title 9 times from 1997 to 2006. Under Mr. Anil Pradhan's guidance, she began her badminton journey in 1986, later honing her skills at Prakash Padukone Badminton Academy and the Sports Authority of India Training Centre. Ms. Popat's international career highlights include 2 Olympics, 1 Asian Games, and silver at the World Junior Championships. She achieved a career-high world ranking of 16 and was honored with the Arjuna Award in 2005. Selected for the Global Sports Mentoring Program, she represented India, promoting women's empowerment in sports worldwide. Ms. Saranya Modi currently serves as the Global Head of HR at Expo Freight. She holds a Master of Arts in Management from Lancaster University. She possesses a diverse skill set encompassing performance appraisal, team management, change management, human resources, and HR consulting among others. With her expertise and dedication, Saranya Modi consistently delivers valuable insights and significantly contributes to the industry.
May I now invite Ms. Saranya to take the session forward. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a very interesting morning so far. I want to begin by saying that, I'm no stranger to MMA. I've been attending this conference since perhaps 2011 or so as a delegate. I've been associated with the group for a long time. I've been a speaker about, twice perhaps in the past. So today is our, MMA and my winning together moment. So very warm welcome to this special session. While, like I said, I've been here before, it's definitely my first time sharing the stage with an Olympian and a 2-time Olympian at that. So I'm very humbled and honored to be here with Aparna. Welcome from MMA and us. So, quickly, my role, I work in, an office, a corporate sector, in a supply chain company where we are present in about 40 countries. So I tend to work a lot across time zones and people from different parts of the world. And what I can, begin by really saying is that regardless of the career level, regardless of the life stage or where people, women are from, we're sort of all united in our deep desire to support each other. So there's a certain sisterhood that, I've noticed through my work. And that sort of is really the foundation of this winning together session, right? We want to know, what does it mean to win as a whole, what is the power of sisterhood really? So I'd like to begin by asking Aparna a little bit about her journey so far. And what does winning together mean to you, Aparna?
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, it's almost good afternoon. Very, very difficult session to follow. It's really hard with two such achievers on stage and listening to their stories. I think, honestly, I'm a bit distracted because their stories have been so inspirational. So I'm still sort of reeling and thinking about them. But yeah, I think just to answer your question, I started playing at the age of 8 years old. And when I started playing, there were no aspirations to become a champion. I just loved what I did. I loved playing. And that's where the journey started from. And of course, I started as an 8-year-old, played my first nationals when I was 11, and then retired when I was 28. So played a good lot of 20 years of competitive badminton. And through this whole journey, I came across this whole concept of winning because that's very natural to sport. You win some, you lose some. Fortunately for me, I won a lot, right from the very beginning. So I was very fortunate. But the whole concept of winning together is something you understand, when you reflect back. Just because when you're in the thick of things, you think, I have won the title, it is mine, I have won the prize money and I own it, but it's never really like that. I don't think, anyone wins anything on their own. It's not possible. And I say that because I feel there are 3 ways of winning together. One is the most obvious way, right? You work in a team, everybody works in a team, brings in their skills, bring in their effort, you work towards a common goal and you'll all win together. There's another kind of winning that comes in with, when you win individually, but then you use that win to actually go back to society and give back. For example, are you in the defense forces and you're protecting other people? It's your win. You've worked hard for it. You've got the title, but you're still going back and giving to society and giving to community like doctors do. And that's a win because then again, everyone's winning together. And I think the third win is really when you achieve something, again, of course, with the help of others, but you achieve it. And then indirectly, there are many people who feel the win, an Olympic medal, the success of the Chandrayaan-3. I think all of us felt like a winner, right? So that's again winning together. I think the misnomer of winning together as women, I think it just goes much further. And that's a distinction that you want to break, to say that it's not, women will stand up and inspire other women, empowered women will empower other women, but at the end of the day, it is a victory of the nation, it is a victory of the community, and somewhere also as far as the world is concerned. So winning together for me is really that individually you have those wins, but at the end of the day, it is us, it is not me.
Beautiful thought, Aparna. I think when they say when you go alone, you go fast, but when you go together, you go far.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that was one of the quotes that I wanted to talk about. While I agree with the latter half of it, that if you want to go far, you go together. But if you want to go fast, you go alone. I think somewhere I disagree with that, because that's really where the question of mentoring comes in, of coaching comes in. Can you have done it alone? Probably yes. In terms of it would have taken you that much longer. But if you have good mentors, and if you have good guides, and if you have good coaches, you will get there faster. So it's not necessarily if you want to go fast, you go alone. The more people that help you, the faster you will go.
So I'm curious because you spoke about mentoring, right? And, like I said, you're in a sport which is very, there is a certain, it's not like a team sport in any way. What weightage do you give to your support system against, say, your own discipline and perseverance and things like that? Would you say it's a equal 50-50, or would you say, you need that little bit extra from yourself?
So I think one of, through my career, the best example I can give you of winning together and team and how it's important would be the Commonwealth Games in 1998. It was my first multi-sport event where I was representing India. I was the youngest member of the team at that point in time. And no one from India had won a women's singles medal at that point in time. So we went for the Commonwealth Games. The tournament starts with a men's and a women's event. And there were 8 members on the men's team, 8 members on the women's team. And then there was obviously the individual event after that. Now, as the tournament started, of course, we had a camp before that. Everyone had trained together, great team spirit and all that. But as the tournament started, the men's team played. In fact, they played their match first. They got a silver in the men's, and the women's team, we got a bronze, right? And as the individuals started, Gopichand, who we all know, he won a bronze medal at that event. And I went on to win a silver medal at that event. But it was not the medal per se, which was obviously India's first medal at the Commonwealth Games in the women's singles, but it was why it happened. And in the semi-finals, I was down in the 3rd games. At that point, so I think a lot of you all have played badminton. It was a scoring till 11 points. And I was down 1-10 in the 3rd game, which means I was 1 point away from being eliminated. And then what happens if you lose in the semis, then you have to have a playoff. So in that playoff, if you win, you get a bronze. Otherwise, then you go home as number 4, which really in sport is the most painful position to be in. So at that point in time, literally my entire team was sitting, they were on the chairs first, but as the match got more interesting, they all were sitting on the court mat, if you know the green court mat, like right there, and they were screaming their heads off. And at one point in that game, I sort of flipped and I said, look, if they think I can, who am I to think I can't, right? And that flip, I think, really made me get into what they call as the zone. And then when you got into the zone and I went on, point by point to win that match and secure my place in the final. And then, of course, I lost the final, I won a silver, but I think that's when I really realized the importance of winning together. And it was also because, see, when we came back from that tournament, everyone had a medal around their necks. And I think that feeling, maybe I have never had again before, because it's never been a situation where literally 16 players go and all 16 come back with a medal. So that was the only tournament, and I think I've been very privileged to experience that.
Such a goosebumps moment. So I'm curious, you spoke a little bit about losing, right? And, I know that there's this mental game in any sport, you need to rise above and make sure that, you've got your game face on. So 2 things really. What has failure meant to you? And, not just as a teacher, how do you rise above it? And the second really is, we've got a room full of women here, and, we're in 2024 where, mental health and women, all of that is definitely, coming to the fore in a big way. So what advice would you give our, young leaders over here in terms of managing your mental health?
Well, I think everything that I say now will sound very simple, because circumstances are different for different people, and we understand that. I think what gives you mental health, in a sense, is something that we can control. Yes, there are days where, things don't go well and, you feel in a particular way. But net, I think it's in our control, right? Our mind is in our control. And as I always say, that the mind is the boss. The mind dictates everything, pretty much. But what I have found from my personal experience is to really find purpose and to find joy in what you do. And if you have that gift with you, and if you have a strong grip on that, in spite of days going up and down, you will still come back to that and find your peace. And that's the kind of peace that you want to find. It's not external. Of course, you need a good support system. Of course, life would be better if circumstances were better at certain times, but you need to find that peace within. And I think that is where I feel mental health will really sort of get sorted in many ways. I honestly, for me, I knew I wanted to play sport at a very early age. There were no decisions, there was no waiting. At the age of 3 and 4, I was doing somersaults and cartwheels, and I knew that I wanted to play sport. Not which sport, not at what level, but I found my purpose very early on in life. Some people find it early, some people find it later, but keep trying things till you actually find that place of peace and that place of balance, and then you'll be.
I'm going to do a hybrid of a few questions that they've asked so that, we get the essence and more questions get done. I'm curious as well, are there any specific challenges or constraints that you feel women, be it in sport or otherwise, face as opposed to the other gender?
Okay, so I'll start with sport and then I'll. So when I was playing, whenever an Indian team was selected, right, they would select 1 women's singles player and 4 men's singles players. And this was, I felt completely unfair, right? Because there was such a big pressure on the women's singles player, whoever it was, to actually get selected. And it's not like it's now, right? So if you get selected, then you get 12 months of international badminton. If you don't get selected, then 12 months you sit in India. You're not going to get to play any tournaments at any point in time. Now, I think that I used as a challenge and as a motivation to say that I had to be number 1 in India. It doesn't matter, because I was so desperate to play international badminton and represent the country. And so right from when I played my under 12 nationals till when I retired. So I won 1 title under 12, number 1 in under 12, 2 times number 1 in under 15, 4 times number 1 in under 19, and then 9 times in the seniors. So literally, 16 years I was number 1 out of 17. And that was only because of this fear that if I wasn't number 1, then I wouldn't get to play. So yes, there are challenges, and you use it as a motivation to actually, get better. In general, I think there are few things that I'd like to highlight. One is the fact that sometimes society expects us to be a certain way. And for sports persons like us, they want women, they want us to be well behaved, they want us to be non-aggressive, they want us to be polite and respectful. But then when we get on court, they're saying you don't have killer instinct. Right? Oh, you got too much muscle. Or if you wear a sari, what will you look like? And no matter what you say, it gets to your head at some point in time, right? When you dress up and you go out, when you're at a social do, or like you mentioned, when you came home and lost 16 kilos, only your teeth were showing. I've been so fit at times, come home and my mom telling me the same thing. Ayo, what happened to you? You're looking so frail. I said, no, this is fit. This is not frail. She's saying, I don't agree with you. This is not how I want my daughter to look. So there's a way that society expects you to be. But for the current job that you're doing, you need to be a particular way with society. It doesn't matter. When you achieve, everything will fall into place, right? So I think that is one thing. And I think the second thing is, when they say, if you want to understand a woman's mind, right? It's like somebody said that it's like a browser with some 2,500 tabs that are open and they're all open at the same time. I'm sure you'll agree with that, right? I think just prioritizing, what is to be done where. Guilt will always be there. I think no matter what you do, but I think finding the right balance in terms of, and when we say like work-life balance, so we say balance of, how ambitious you want to be, for example. It's not about equal path, right? It's about a space, again, where you feel balanced. Okay? There are days and days again, and if you don't bring your best self, and if you don't bring your most balanced self, then the challenges are going to sort of put pressure on you. And that shouldn't be. So I feel as women, we do have this challenge, but look, you can do anything.
Especially, these days they say there's a difference between being assertive and aggressive, and women are the ones who are always, learn to toe the line and walk that tightrope. So I think, yeah, that helps. You said you started very early, right? You played competitive sport, but through, the demographics, there are some videos with Indra Nooyi, which I think many of you have seen, where she speaks about the biological clock and the professional clock usually coinciding at the same time. She says, at one stage, your children need you, at the same time, you've just gotten your big promotion, very related to the corporate world. But how does that relate to you? Do you see an evolution saying, oh my God, this is how I felt then, but now 10 years later, I feel very differently? Has there been a marked difference in the way, the age has really dealt with?
Yeah, I think in many ways, really, because sport is a profession that has a very short shelf life. Naturally, as you age, the body changes, and the way you adapt your game also becomes very challenging, because where you were using more physicality, as you age, you start using more strategy and experience, but you have to keep the performance up. So that's a challenge, because it's a very, as you asked about, success and failure, sport is very public. Like if you win publicly. If you lose publicly. And, it's in front of everyone. You can't hide it. So I think that is one aspect of it. So the biological clock and just the raw physicality, of course, is a big thing. I feel the other distinction is, when you compare it to other professions, you sort of work your way into the profession, get experienced, and then you grow in that profession, and then you get your promotions, and then you get your degrees, and you move on. Sport, as we grow into the profession, we stop. We retire. It stops. It's like a hard full stop. And what you do after that, you start from zero all over again. Because a title, say like an Olympian, I may have played 2 Olympic Games, but that title doesn't count as a job qualification, unfortunately. Even if it's something directly related to sport. So even if I go into coaching, it doesn't count as a qualification, right? So whatever you do, it's almost like having a second career that starts. And that becomes very, very hard. So, as I was sitting and listening to you all, and in fact, my sister's here, and I was just telling her, I said, damn, I should have studied and got more degrees. And, then I could have, had this career for, like you say, you study to be a doctor, you're a doctor for life. You study to be a lawyer, you're a lawyer for life. You train to be an Olympian, you're an Olympian for life, but that's it. Then it doesn't mean anything, right? So in that sense, it's very different. So do I have second thoughts? Of course I do, in certain times. But then when I look back and I find, where did I find maximum happiness? It is on the badminton court. I feel home when I'm on the bed.
So, they say every achiever in any field tends to have certain non-negotiables. So you ask somebody in finance, they'll say, integrity is my non-negotiable. For me, as a mother and as somebody who's, constantly trying to balance my work life, and I kind of keep reminding myself to choose courage over comfort. Because it's always, the easier option is to say, let me not make this business trip, or let me not have this uncomfortable. So I keep telling myself, courage over comfort. So I'm curious to know, what is your non-negotiable, and some mantra that you, perhaps your aha, which, want to leave the audience with.
I think my non-negotiable, again, because I have a 10-year-old daughter as well. So whatever we've experienced, sort of try to pass on to our kids. And for me, I think the 3 things: so you do the right thing, which is you strive for excellence, try to be the best that you can be. The second thing is do it with the right people. Find the right people around you. And the third would be to do it the right way. Integrity, ethics, absolutely no compromise on that. So these 3 things, I think all are equally important. And that is what my non-negotiable was when I was, training and playing, and even now that I follow and I try to pass on to my daughter. And I think just to leave you with what I feel, to say that, if you meet, if you come across challenges, look them in the eye right? And then give them a little wink. You know, when, you know, try to expand and grow when the world is asking you to shrink. I think this is the message that I'd like to leave you with. Feel empowered, you know, take accountability, take responsibility, but very importantly, as you mentioned, have the courage to be uncomfortable, because being a woman who has to manage so many different roles, most days you will be uncomfortable, but that is the norm, and that is something we should be proud of and wear it like a battle scar and just carry on.
Thank you so much, Aparna. That was so wonderfully inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sharanya, for moderating the session so well within the limited time. May now invite President MMA, Mr. Mahalingam, and Mr. Shankar, Senior Vice President of MMA, to come and honor the dignitaries on the dais, please. So, delegates, I'm sure you're not going to see a two-time Olympian very often, an Arjuna Award winner. She deserves all the round of applause. Very good. Thank you. Mridula ma'am, please join. A big round of applause to Ms. Sharanya. She is the one who wrote the concept note for this entire convention, and she has been in one way a backbone for the convention. Thank you so much, Sharanya.